Hey guys, Script here with another video, and I've been posting on Twitter last night and the day before, just talking about, I don't like this idea of lightsabers calling out to people, which was introduced in The Force Awakens. I don't know a ton about the EU. I do know some things. If this has happened in the EU, I still have the same view of it. I think these are weapons. There was never in the original 6 movies any kind of emphasis on the lightsaber as being like ultra important or having some sort of relationship with the user. They were weapons. They were used to fight. Other than that, you really got no other anything. In fact, all you really got was Palpatine kind of making fun of it, which then George made Palpatine have. He calls it like, take your weapon, strike me down. He almost had this like, I don't need that. Like, this is just kind of like for weaker Force users. You know, Obi-Wan talking about how it's not as clumsy as a blaster and it's an elegant weapon. Okay, it's an elegant weapon, cool, but that's where it ended. The only other thing we know, and from a deleted scene from Return of the Jedi, that Luke made his own lightsaber, and making your own lightsaber is your final, or one of your final tasks, I guess, because he still had to face Vader to become a Jedi Master, right? Of course, a day after I'm talking about this, Screen Rant puts out an article. Star Wars solves the Force Awakens lightsaber mystery after 7 years. Recent additions to Star Wars canon have shed some light as to why Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber called out to Rey in The Force Awakens. And again, recent is the key word here. This is a Disney edition. This is not something that you can go back and look at pre-Disney or pre-The Force Awakens to justify it in any kind of way. Like, you just can't. So let's just get into this here. Recent additions to Star Wars canon have shed new light on why Anakin Skywalker called out to Rey in The Force Awakens. Although it would be revealed that Rey was ultimately the secret granddaughter of Palpatine, the legendary Skywalker saber called out to the young scavenger, kickstarting her Jedi path in the Star Wars timeline. Now Star Wars has revealed a key reason why the lightsaber called out to Rey in the first place. Oh, man, I hated that whole thing. Like, guys, you let me know what you think in the comment section, but this whole thing, that lightsaber, they made it into this big deal, and part of me thinks they just did it to sell more Anakin lightsabers toys, because Luke's hand gets cut off, the thing goes flying down a massive shaft on Bespin, who knows where it ends up, and why would anyone care to go find it? If in fact it survived the fall, didn't go down into this gigantic gas planet, it's maybe, at the bottom of, resting on the bottom of that big shaft. Who would go down there to get it? Like, who's doing that? Like, did the janitor find it? But of course they don't explain that. Maz just says, oh, it's a story for another time. They did a lot of this sort of fetishizing of objects in the sequel trilogy. Disney's really big into that. Like, for us, it was the characters, right? The biggest driver of Star Wars was, yes, the atmosphere and the environment that the story was taking place in was really cool and different and new, especially in the 70s. But the characters are what drove these films. It was not the objects, and it was not even the aesthetics, which again were cool, but they weren't the driver of the story. So another one that they put in was the Kylo Ren having Vader's helmet. Like, Vader was burned and they did make his helmet kind of burn, but like, so what? So like, his body burned, but the suit didn't fully burn. So Kylo took the time to like go down to Endor to get his mask. Like, why would he think that Vader's mask was going to be able to do anything? It was all melted anyway. And that's the first thing. Second thing, why did the Ewoks just leave a melted mask sitting there right outside their little village for 30 plus years? Like, or however long it was, it would have been at least like 10 or whatever, 15, because Ben would have been what, like 20 or something, or like a teenager when he left. So it's like all those years they just left this smelted Vader suit sitting on a pile of logs. like just think about how stupid that is. And then Ben decides to go down there and get it, and then he's hearing his grandfather's voice through the helmet. It's like all these like things, these objects like somehow have powers. And so the whole thing is very ridiculous. So forget all how stupid that all is. Now the lightsaber's calling for Rey. Why would it be calling for Rey? So Maz Kanata's castle, which is like super famous, it has like every flag in the galaxy, everybody knows about it, has never had anyone go through there that had like any kind of force abilities in all that time that the lightsaber could, quote, call out to. It had to be Rey. Honestly, I think JJ put that line in there that it called out to her to try and sound all cool, and then after the movie came out and people were like, wait a minute, how did that happen? And they were like, oh no, what do? We have to find some way to explain this. How are we going to explain this? Explain it in a book. Explain it in a book. That's what they do. They explain everything that makes no sense in a book, even though the explanations still almost always suck. That's what they do. This is no exception. Originally wielded by Anakin Skywalker during the prequels, his son Luke would inherit the iconic weapon, which is a great way for Luke to get it. He inherited it. It wasn't found randomly by the janitor on Bespin and then somehow in some castle calling out to people. He inherited it because Obi-Wan picked it up. He lost both the saber and his hand in his duel with his father, Empire Strikes Back. However, the lightsaber then fell into the possession of Maz Kanata on the planet Takodana, where of course, this person writing this article doesn't say anything about how that happens, where it subsequently calls out to Rey in The Force Awakens. To that end, it's been strongly implied that the reason the legacy lightsaber called out to Rey has everything to do with the Kyber crystal inside the lightsaber and the will of the Force itself. Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber didn't choose Rey, the Kyber did. Kyber is alive with the ability to bond and communicate. And this is another thing, guys, is just so bad that Disney did with the lightsabers, making the rock the rock that powers it is alive now. And no, it gets worse. And then again, I'm sorry, I'm just not into this. If you're into this having a relationship with my rock and my weapon, my glowy rock and me hanging out having pizza.
My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, wherever I go, he goes.
My glowy rock and me watching the game. He cheers for the other team, so we get into arguments, but in the end, we always love each other. That's why he stays, my buddy, and my lightsaber. We're gonna go to the amusement park tomorrow.
My buddy and me.
Rather than the redeemed spirit of Anakin Skywalker working through the blade as a means of motivating Rey towards her destiny, it's been strongly implied that it was the Kyber crystal within that reached out to Rey. Considering to be a living with strong connections to the Force itself, the canonical, they always say canonical. It's still, it's Disney canon. It's only canonical to Disney fans. The canonical Star Wars number 35, which by the way came out in 2020, 3 years after The Force Awakens, they went, oh no, we gotta figure out an explanation for this stupidity. Or wait, 5 years, after The Force Awakens. Charles Soule and Medebek Musabekoff reveals that Kyber has its own way of speaking and talking. Kyber crystals are geode. Tying nicely to Kanata's claim that the lightsaber was calling out to Rey. Likewise, the issue is set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi when Luke encounters a Kyber specialist who reveals new insights while also giving Luke the Kyber he'll use for his green bladed lightsaber. Originally transparent, Luke was encouraged to connect with the Kyber and act to pull his spirit into the Force and allowed him to commune with Yoda before he was returned to the physical plane. In the aftermath, Luke's Kyber crystal turned green, indicating that their bond had been forged through the Force. This is not unlike Rey, who also received a key Force vision the moment they're weapons. He throws it away, ultimately, right? He throws it away because he's like, I'm not going to keep swinging. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to kill my dad. Get rid of this. It's just a weapon. And in the end, the weapon meant nothing. It was just him and his dad, and it's just this whole thing. And then the lightsabers change colors. They're like mood rings now, and all this garbage. Anyway, I'm going to show you the panel. This is kind of a crappy quality image of it, but it's as good as I could find. But just listen to this for a second, okay? This is from that comic book. In order to turn red, ordinary Kyber crystals must be bled. It's a friggin' crystal. It's a rock. It must be bled. A dark side practitioner pours their rage and pain and fear through the crystal, leaving it vibrating in scarlet agony. Like a feedback loop, I see. The guy, whoever this guy says, he's the expert, the Kyber expert. To heal it, so then he passes her the red one that's been bled, I guess. And then to heal it, you do the opposite. Use the light side and your own joy and hope to create resonance to offset the pain created by the bleeding. It's not a battle. It's a soothing and a calming. And then she goes, a healing. Like, listen to what they're saying, guys. All of this to justify a stupid line that JJ put in a stupid movie to try and sound cool. And to try to make people go out and buy a whole bunch more Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker lightsabers. It's just like, this is where they're at, man. They make they write stupid lines, and then they gotta do all this extra work to justify it. It was very difficult. People came out of the process changed. To heal the crystal, you must connect deeply with the dark side user whose suffering created it. What? Sounds painful, Luke says. I've never done anything like this before, but I'll try.
Don't touch it. It's Uncle Rico's.
What's it for?
It's a time machine, Napoleon. We bought it online.
You're right.
It works, Napoleon. You don't even know. So are you ready?
Yeah, hold on. I forgot to put in the crystals. Okay, turn it on.
And then Buddy's like, oh, I believe in you. All right, here we go. And then he's like tapping into the crystal and connecting deeply with the dark side user who had the crystal and had made it bleed. This is just so dumb. And it's a weapon. Stop fetishizing all these objects. They're just objects. The only thing that makes the objects cool is their connection through the plot line, right? So Luke using Anakin's blade was really significant because that was his dad. He never met his dad, and he wanted to know more about him, and then he heard he was a Jedi, and then he got all excited, and then all of a sudden it's like, dude, this is the weapon he used, and Luke was like, whoa, this is so cool. This was my dad's lightsaber when he fought in the Clone Wars. Wow. That's what made it cool. The crystal in it had nothing to do with it being cool, and it's just so dumb. In the aftermath, Luke's Kyber crystal turned green, indicating that their bond had been forged through the Force. This is not unlike Rey, who also received a key Force vision the moment she touched the Skywalker saber. So I guess Rey must have done the same thing to do the yellow one then. She went and found a crystal, I guess, off screen, and then did some Force thing with it and snuggled with it and maybe had a sleepover with it, and then it was yellow, and then she had a yellow lightsaber, I guess. The Kyber acted in accordance with the will of the Force. This new addition to Star Wars canon supports the idea that Rey's experience in The Force Awakens was something many past Jedi experienced when bonding with their respective Kyber crystals. Well, I mean, you're retconning, you're reverse retconning, I guess, but whatever. It was the Kyber that chose Rey to be its next wielder. The Kyber knew about Rey. Someone told the Kyber. And he's like, bro, that chick looks sweet. I'm so getting with that. Calling out to her when she came to tackle Dana, it's also likely that Rey's connection to Kylo Ren as the powerful Force dyad and her unique destiny is what drew the Kyber to seek a bond in The Force Awakens. But here's the funny thing. Again, because this is after the fact. Where in The Force Awakens does she have a bond with the Kyber? Other than that line that, it called out to you. When do they show that? Like her, with her hand over the lightsaber and making, they don't show that because it never existed. This is just a dumb line in a movie that they're trying to explain, and now they're just ruining and fetishizing and being idiots because of a stupid line in a movie. Seeing as how she'd eventually restore balance to the galaxy. Oh yeah, because that's why would we want Anakin doing that? Just as the Saber's original wielder did in the Star Wars canon. So you let me know in the comment section, guys. This is just whether you like the living Kyber crystal or not. You have to admit it was 100% added after the fact because of a stupid line in a bad movie. You have to admit that. This wasn't some idea that they've always had. This is a 2020 comic book. So this was added after the fact because they felt it necessary, because too many people were like, this is dumb. Why are lightsabers calling out through the Force? They're just weapons. And then they were like, yeah, we got it. So even if you don't mind the idea of it, you have to admit it was literally done after the fact from a stupid line in a stupid movie. But if you do like it, let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you think this is just silliness? What do you think about them just making objects so important since Disney took over Star Wars? They're such a big thing. And even in the Clone Wars, to some degree, they put a lot of emphasis on things instead of characters. I mean, there's still obviously character development in the Clone Wars, but I'm just saying there's just a lot of that. In Disney Star Wars, there's hardly any character development, and it's just all fetishizing objects, weirdness, stuff that doesn't make any sense, and lore-breaking crap. Anyways, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you do like this content, please like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Check out any other content on my channel, including my Star Wars sequels reimagined and re-edited into a story that makes sense. And again, have a really good day.